He never planned to be a hero, just a tired single dad trying to make it through another shift at the orbital megacity S power core. But when fire tore through the upper floors of the Zenith tower, and a CEO's daughter screamed for help from inside a collapsing elevator, he didn't think, he ran. His hands burned to the bone pulling her out. Cameras caught everything. The world called him a savior. But a few days later, something began to change. His skin shimmered, his nerves sparked, and people whispered that no human should have survived that fire. If that gave you goosebumps, wait till you hear what happened next. This isn't just a story about sacrifice, it is about what happens when humanity crosses the line between man and machine. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because stories like this remind us that even in the darkest fires, humanity burns brightest. Now, let's dive into the truth behind the hero. The sirens of Zenith Tower were supposed to be silent. They were designed for one thing only: catastrophic emergencies. So when the alarm blared through the megacity's upper skyline that afternoon, most people assumed it was a malfunction. Fires didn't happen anymore. Not in 2159. Not in a building made of flame-proof alloy and self-healing glass. But inside the elevator core of level 210, something had gone horribly wrong. A single man, Ethan Cole, stood frozen for half a heartbeat as the flames roared up the shaft. He could have run. He had every reason to. His little boy, Liam, was waiting for him back home in the workers' quarter. But instead, Ethan sprinted toward the sound of the screams. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't rich. He was a maintenance tech, a single father who spent his days fixing conduits for people who didn't even know his name. But in that moment, none of that mattered. When the elevator doors peeled open, he saw her, a young girl no older than his son, trapped inside a steel cage engulfed in smoke. Her hands beat against the glass, her voice barely a whisper through the heat. "Please, help me." Ethan's lungs burned as he forced the doors apart. The metal seared his palms instantly, fusing flesh to alloy. But he didn't stop. He screamed through the pain, wedging a steel bar into the gap, prying the elevator open by sheer will. The heat was unbearable. Sparks rained down like molten stars. He reached in and grabbed her, lifting her out just as the elevator cable snapped. The last thing he saw before the world went white was her face. Terrified, soot-streaked, and alive. Hours later, the tower stood silent, black smoke rising against the neon horizon. Ethan was rushed to Zenith General Hospital. His hands, charred, broken, ruined, had saved the daughter of CEO Alaric Voss, one of the most powerful men on the planet. When the story hit the networks, humanity found a new hero. Single father saves billionaire's child. The man who ran into fire. A true human miracle. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone wanted a piece of him. But Ethan didn't care about the cameras or the fame. He only cared about the little girl's safety, and the son who didn't yet know his father had almost died. 3 days later, the hospital lights dimmed to midnight glow. Machines hummed quietly. Ethan lay in his recovery chamber, staring at the white bandages that covered what was left of his hands. The doctors said it was a miracle he was alive. The fire should have burned him completely. But the strangest thing, they said his tissue was changing. Underneath the bandages, microscopic sensors detected unfamiliar energy patterns, faintly metallic. His cells were rebuilding faster than human biology should allow. Ethan felt it too, a low hum beneath his skin, like static electricity crawling through his veins. He whispered to himself, "What's happening to me?" Then from the hallway a small voice answered, "You saved me, didn't you?" It was her, the CEO's daughter, Mira Voss. She stood there clutching a stuffed animal, eyes bright and trembling. Ethan managed a weak smile. "You're okay?" She nodded. "Dad says you're a hero." She hesitated, then added softly, "You shouldn't be alive. The elevator, it exploded right before you grabbed me." He tried to laugh, but it hurt. "Guess I got lucky." She tilted her head. "Dad says there's no such thing as luck, just prototypes that work." Ethan blinked. Prototypes? Before he could ask, Two men in black suits appeared behind her. Corporate security. One of them said, "Miss Voss, your father's waiting." As they led her away, she looked back and whispered something he almost didn't catch. "Your hands. They're glowing." When she was gone, Ethan slowly unwrapped the bandages. What he saw made his heart stop. Beneath the charred skin, faint silver veins pulsed like liquid mercury. The burns were gone, replaced by seamless metallic tissue that shimmered under the hospital light. He flexed his fingers and the metal moved with him like it was part of his body. Suddenly, his heart monitor spiked. The room lights flickered. Every electronic device within range shorted out. In the hallway, nurses screamed as the power grid failed across the entire wing. Ethan sat up, panicked, his hands crackling with blue-white light. What did they do to me? And somewhere, miles away in the glass fortress of VossCorp headquarters, Alaric Voss watched the same moment through a hidden surveillance feed. He turned to his assistant. "Begin Phase 2, he said coldly. "He's activating sooner than expected." The next morning, Zenith City woke to headlines calling Ethan Cole the Miracle Man. But inside his hospital room, he felt anything but human. His body pulsed with strange currents, like the building's power grid was running through his veins. Every nerve tingled. Every movement buzzed faintly as though electricity obeyed his will. When he touched the monitor beside him, the screen flickered, flashed random symbols, and died. He jerked his hand back. "What the hell is happening to me?" he muttered. Then the door slid open, and Alaric Voss walked in. The CEO of VossCorp wasn't just powerful, he was intimidatingly calm. His sharp suit gleamed like armor, his eyes precise, calculating. "Mr. Cole," he said, "you saved my daughter's life. For that you have my gratitude." Ethan frowned. "Your gratitude doesn't explain this." He raised his bandaged hands, faint sparks dancing underneath. Voss sighed, as though the words were heavy. "You weren't supposed to survive the fire." Ethan froze. "What did you just say?" Voss stepped closer. "That elevator wasn't an accident. It was a containment unit. We were testing a new material, one capable of absorbing energy beyond nuclear thresholds. When you touched the doors, the compound fused to your DNA." Ethan's stomach dropped. "So, I'm some kind of experiment?" Voss smiled faintly. "Your evolution, Mr. Cole. A prototype of what humanity can become." Ethan stared at him in disbelief. "You used me. I saved your daughter, and now you're telling me I'm a lab rat?" Voss's tone hardened. "You're alive because of it. The compound, Project Seraph, was designed to merge machine intelligence with human biology. You're the only one who's ever survived exposure." The words echoed in his head. Project Seraph. Hybrid evolution. Prototype. Ethan looked down at his hands. The metallic sheen now extended up to his wrists, pulsing with faint blue light. His reflection in the glass wall looked inhuman. Then the lights dimmed again, and the air filled with static. Alarms blared across the hospital. Through the window, Ethan saw armored drones rising from the streets, VossCorp security units, programmed to retrieve unstable assets. Voss turned toward the chaos below. "They're not here for you, Ethan. They're here because you're valuable. They'll keep you safe." Ethan stood, trembling. "Safe? You mean contained?" He ripped the IVs from his arm and stepped forward. "I'm done being your experiment." Voss extended a hand. "You don't understand what you are. You could save billions. Your body generates energy that could power entire cities." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't ask to be a battery." And with a single movement, instinct guiding him, he slammed his hand against the wall. The glass exploded outward. Sirens screamed. Ethan ran. The night outside glowed with neon and smoke as he sprinted through the rain-soaked streets, his hands blazing with light. Every drone that got close short-circuited. Sparks flew from their sensors as his power pulsed stronger, more focused. He ducked into a service tunnel and collapsed against the wall, gasping. His reflection in the puddles flickered. Half man, half machine. Both terrified. A voice echoed softly behind him. You shouldn't be out here. It was Mira, the CEO's daughter. How did you find me? He asked. She stepped closer, holding something wrapped in cloth. Because I'm not like other humans either. She unwrapped it, a shard of crystalline alloy glowing faintly, the same light as his veins. My father used the same material on me, she whispered. But it failed, until you touched me. The moment you pulled me from the fire, you completed the circuit. Ethan's mind reeled. So you're saying... She nodded. We're connected. You saved me, but I think I also saved you. Outside, the night erupted in thunder as Voscorp's searchlights swept the city. Ethan looked down at his glowing hands, then at her. We can't run forever. No, she said, her voice trembling but fierce. We fight. We expose him. We show the world what he did to us. He nodded slowly. Then we start now. As the first light of dawn pierced the skyline, two figures stood atop the ruins of Zenith Tower, one human, one something more. Ethan raised his hands. Energy crackled between his fingers, weaving into the morning air. The city's power grid flickered in response. Somewhere deep within the system, his heartbeat synced with the hum of the machines. The age of human heroes was over. The age of humanity evolved had begun. And that was when a single dad burns his hands, saving the CEO's daughter from a blazing elevator. But days later, a story of sacrifice, transformation, and the thin line between heroism and manipulation. What would you do if saving someone's life meant losing your own humanity? Would you surrender to the machine, or fight to stay human? Tell me your answer in the comments below. If this story made you feel something, if it made you think, then hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who believes in the power of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Because sometimes, heroes aren't born from perfection. They're forged in fire. Until next time, keep your humanity burning bright, even in the darkest future.